Hey, it's your girl Nay coming to you with another episode of As Told by Nay, the podcast. Happy Thursday to everybody. I hope that you're doing well. I hope that you are having a great day. The weather has been kind of crazy here in Florida. So I don't know where everyone is, your respective places, but I hope that you've been staying dry, staying out of the crazy weather. And again, I hope that your day has been good. My day, on and off, good in the beginning, then it got a little crazy, then it leveled back out, then it got a little crazy again, and here we are. I'm excited for tonight's conversation. And there's that. So as you see, tonight, if I had to give the conversation a title, I would call it Year First. And we're going to get into exactly what I mean by that. Before I do though, I want y'all to check in the comments. Let me do a mental health check while I have your attention. Go ahead and let me know on a scale of 1 to 10, right? But it's a little backwards. So 10 being that you feel pretty bad, maybe the worst you've ever felt. And a 1 being, I'm good, I'm okay, I'm live, I'm lit, I'm happy. Everything's everything. So mental health check real quick before we dive into this conversation. And let me know how you're feeling. Again, scale of 1 to 10. 1 being the best you've ever felt. And 10 being, I could be better. What's up? And we're gonna go from there. So year of first. Pause before I get into that. My mental health. I would say today I'm feeling at about 6. I'm feeling at about a 6. And that always leaves room for improvement. I tell people all the time, if you are feeling at a 5 or higher, there's room for improvement. And what can we do to get you to that number 1 spot? So I'm at a 6, and that's okay. It's okay to be in that space, but my wheels are turning to figure out what I need to do to make myself feel better. So there's that. All right, what we got? We got a 5, okay. We got a 3, 4. Ooh, I like those numbers. That's not how it goes. It's definitely how it goes. But thank you guys for checking in and let me know how you're feeling. So, okay, boom, let's get into it. Year of first. Before I get into, all that is this conversation tonight, I want to take a moment to have a moment of silence for anybody that has lost anybody. These last couple of years have been very hard for a lot of people. There has been loss across the board. As a collective, we've definitely gone through major changes, just in the way that we see everything, So let me stop my music for 2 seconds so that I can go ahead and let's give a moment of silence for just anybody that is missing anybody, in this moment. And there's that. So why did I do that? Tonight's conversation is definitely going to be dedicated to my uncle. Today marks 1 year since I lost my Uncle Ricky. And I realized that although I'm a therapist, and although these are skills that I teach people all the time, I don't think I've been doing this grieving thing right. I don't think I've been having my year of first and handling it the correct way. So we're definitely going to talk about it. RIP to my uncle. I'm wearing him on my shirt today. Why? Because he was such a big fan of everything that I did, but he definitely used to tune in every Thursday at 8 p.m. for another conversation of As Told by Nay, the podcast. So yeah, let's get into it. Tonight's conversation is definitely going to be about grief and loss, your ability to mourn properly, what that looks like, what that don't look like, how you can be of assistance to those people around you that are grieving, and all of the above. So right off the bat, year first, what do I mean by that? So when someone passes away, that first year is very critical in your healing process. There's a lot of changes that are happening. There's a lot of situations that are going on. And I don't think people realize that that first year is when you kind of go through those stages of grief. If you don't know what those stages are, we're going to get into them a little bit later here. And we'll definitely break that thing down. But that's when that stuff is happening, like that initial set in that this person is no longer here and I've got to deal with that truth, right? So when we think about what is grief, I'm going to give you the actual definition of grief. So grief is deep sorrow, trouble, or annoyance, especially caused by someone's death. So there's all kinds of things that you can grieve, right? It doesn't necessarily have to be that somebody died. You can grieve the loss of a job. You can grieve the loss of a relationship. You can grieve the loss of a house, a place in life that you were, loss of status, just anything that you lose that causes you trouble, pain, annoyance even, you can be grieving that, right? So there's that piece. The difference in grief and mourning, gotta educate y'all a little bit. So when you're mourning, that's just gonna be that outward expression of the grief. Grief is more of the emotional aspect. Mourning is what you're doing, that outward, what people see as you're grieving these different situations and persons and things like that. So when we think about the year of first, and I'm going to relay a lot of this to self because I just completed a year of first. And again, I don't think I did that thing right. And this is a teachable moment. That's why I'm here. So boom, there's grief. In your year first, there's lots of things so let's talk about my year first. My uncle died in April, right? Let's look at this timeline. The middle of the year, my uncle was big on holidays and birthdays, and my family just in general is big on family. So in my mind, what made sense was if I can get through the holiday season, which there was a couple of months before that, if I can get through the holiday season, I'll be okay. And so my focus was be okay until after the holiday. And with that, what did that look like? Thanksgiving, Christmas, Easter had just passed. The new year, his birthday, my birthday, everybody else's birthday, that was coming up because if you knew my uncle, he was calling on the birthday. So just getting through, having those big moments happen within my family and he not be there. So I did that. I'm still working. I'm still maintaining my relationships with friends and family. I'm still being present. I'm not too sad. I am having my moments, but for the most part, I'm okay. So I'm making it. I'm doing good. We get through all of that. And again, I go to my mom's house. Memories would come. I would think about him from time to time, but it wasn't too crazy. What happened was I didn't allow myself to feel. I didn't allow myself to have those emotions. I didn't allow myself to mourn. I did not have that outward expression. It was, you got to hold it together. I'm that strong friend. I'm that strong person. So when people are dealing with life, I'm their go-to. So for me, it was put on your mask, put on your cape, deal with it. something else I realized in this moment was this was the first time that I actually had to grieve as an adult. Grieving as an adult looks very different than grieving and mourning as a child. I had my granny pass away when I was a kid. And for me, that grief looked like I was sad and she was not there, but I didn't really understand what that meant until I became an adult. And by then, years had passed. The relationship was kind of preserved because I was little. And I really didn't even understand all the specifics of her death until I was older. So that impact wasn't the same. Both of my grandmothers passed away. Well, my father's mother passed away when I was in college, as well as my grandfather. But again, those deaths were kind of my grandma, very distant memory because I was a kid. College, it was a lot going on. My father's mother, we had a distant relationship because she lived in a different place. My grandfather, we had a distant relationship because he lived all the way in California. I was sad and I definitely mourned them, but I would not say that it hit the same as my uncle that I was seeing all the time, that helped to raise me. That was a very present part of my life, my entire life. So I get through my year. I'm okay. I did that thing like a boss. I was not in a space of sadness very much. I wasn't depressed. And I was kind of looking at, these different stages of grief like, I really didn't have any of these things happen. I'm good. Maybe I'm just, death makes me sad. But once time goes on, I'm good. Like, maybe this just isn't something that affects me like that. I was very wrong. Because it wasn't until last night, had a whole freaking anxiety attack meltdown. Because reality struck that you got through your year of first, you made it. Now, what about all the rest of the years? It finally clicked for me just last night that you tell people this all the time. You teach people how to deal in their moments. But do you really know how to do it yourself? Like, you're fine. You made it through this first year, but what about next year? And the year after that? And the year after that? Are you good? Are you fine? Did you really process the fact that your uncle is no longer here and he's not coming back? And I had to be honest with myself to say, no, I did not think about it in that way. My mind was set on getting through this first year and being okay. And that would set the tone for the rest of it. And that's just not how that works. And I know that, but it's easier said than done. It's easy to give people advice, right? But when it's time to take your own advice, maybe not so much. So I had my moment and I realized that I got a long road ahead of me. I didn't really talk about my uncle. I didn't really sit and reflect. I didn't really do any of the things that I tell my clients to do in order to truly grieve and mourn a situation and be okay. So let's take this thing a step further. So, because I said I was going to break this thing down for y'all. When we look at the stages of grief, there's denial, there's anger, there's bargaining, there's depression, and there's acceptance. Now, I did a little spin on this because for me, I feel like there's so much more that you go through when you lose someone that is your special person. There is some denial, but maybe not, right? I like to couple denial with shock. And for me, with my uncle, that's exactly what it was. I wasn't in denial because he was sick. So I knew it was coming. I just was not expecting it to come like that. We literally had been at his house with him days prior. And yes, he was sick, but he was home. He was laughing, he was joking. And if anybody knows my uncle, he don't joke. Whether he is in pain or not, he's going to joke. Okay. So for me, it was just like, yeah, he's sick, but he's been sick. So he's okay. So when I got that call to come to the hospital, because it was about that time, I didn't know how to feel. When you're in shock, you know that something is happening, but your brain and your body cannot react. I was very surprised that at the hospital, I did not cry, because I'm a crybaby. Anybody that knows me, I cry like that. If my feelings are hurt, I'm going to cry. If I'm sad, I'm going to cry. If I'm angry, upset, frustrated, I'm going to cry. But in that moment, even seeing him in those last moments, I didn't cry. And for me, that's odd. That's very odd. But in the moment, I was in shock. Hey guys, that's okay. It's okay to be unsure of how to feel when loss happens right away. If it's something that you got to process, that's something you got to process. There are some people that are affected by it immediately. And, one thing I always tell my clients, those stages, they don't come in order. They can come in a roundabout way. All out of order. Here, there, back, forward, left, right. So boom, denial, I couple that with shock. That next piece, I'm going to stick something in the middle of that. There can be pain or there can be guilt. Some people lose someone, lose a thing, they're grieving, and there's that hurt that comes. There's that pain. For other people, there's that guilt, and that's where I was at with it. Because my uncles and aunts are super close. Me and my cousins, our siblings are super close. My family in general, super close. My uncle lived right around the corner from my mom's house. And I felt guilty that I did not see him as much as I thought that I should. So initially, and that's probably why I didn't cry, I wasn't hurt because I was like, dang, Nay, you knew that man was sick. You knew he didn't have forever. You was right over there at your mom's house all the time, and you was lazy about it. Because in my mind, my uncle came to my mom's house all the time. Every day almost, to get his mail. So when I'm there picking up my mail, we cross paths most of the time. So I never felt it very necessary to go to his house all the time, because we're going to see him at mom's house. We're going to run into each other. And so as things started to kind of shift, I felt bad. Like, you should have been going to visit that man more often. This is a normal reaction. And I know some people kind of try and push it out of their head, or they feel even more guilty that they feel guilty. You got to let these feelings come. You got to sit in that stuff. I tell my clients that all the time. When you start to feel these different emotions and they're extreme and they're all over the place, you have to let it come. Because if you don't, you're going to be sitting like me a year later and have a conniption because you realize you didn't do this thing right. So there's that. Mine was a little bit of both, though. There was that guilt factor in the beginning, and then it transitioned into pain. Because, like I said, I'm very close with my aunts and uncles. And so this was like a father figure that had died. And I felt like I should have been more present. I'm all about presence. And anybody that knows me, I love to spend time with the people that I love. So the fact that I didn't do that as much as I felt like I should in that moment, it definitely bothered me. And that's okay. That's something that I had to process, something that I had to deal with, something that I had to come to terms with. Sometimes you got to check yourself in your grieving process. And that's just what that is. So, boom, anger and bargaining. There wasn't much anger. There wasn't much bargaining for me. Again, like I said, he had been sick. So it was no, oh God, why? Like, eventually this time was going to come. I did feel like, I wish we had more time Damn, we was just at his house. That was like 2 days ago. What do you mean? There was more confusion than anger and bargaining. But a lot of people do experience that angry factor. They get mad, or, they feel like, and I had this conversation with one of my good girlfriends last night when I had my meltdown. There's that bargaining piece. People in your life where you're like, this person don't even need to be here. Why they ain't go? Or, damn, somebody else. But why this person? You start to question your faith. You start to have all of these feelings about, whoever if you have a higher power, that conversation comes into play. And that's normal too. That's a natural reaction to grief. Let it happen. Let it come. Because you have to be in that moment. Next, we're going to go into the depression. Not everybody gets depressed. I didn't get depressed. I wasn't sad. But there was that sense of loneliness and a little bit of reflection. I wasn't sad, but I did find myself thinking about him. And that could have been because of that little bit of guilt that was there. Like, you have all these amazing memories with him as a kid and in high school, and when we first came home from college. And then when life started to happen for me, when I got grown, and he got married and he had his family over there, and I'm, doing my thing over here, I'm like, dang, as an adult, what could I have done different? And then it made me start to think about my other uncles and aunts that are still living. Like, how can I make sure that I'm present more with them? Like, even they're not sick or anything, but it's just like, just wanting to be in a space where I don't feel that way when something else happens. Because that reality starts to take place too. Like, we're going to have to do this again, Nay. It doesn't just stop with Uncle Ricky. And so just being in a place, understanding that reflection and kind of being like, certain things will happen and you don't have that person anymore. Like I said, my uncle was a big fan of As Told by Nate, and he would always write me on Facebook and talk to me about my show. Or he loved to see me do my little TikToks. He loved to see me dance when I would post my videos and stuff. He would always comment, or he would talk to me. And when I see him, we would always have a good laugh about, the different things that I was doing, and very encouraging in that way. So I started to just think about that in a sense too. Like, he was very present. And again, me feeling like I could have done more. How can I make sure that I'm doing that moving forward? Hey guys, reflection is a good part of the grieving process. It's a really, really good part, because again, what I just said is absolutely true. And I know you guys know this, like, life does go on, even when we lose people, right? And there are people in our lives that still require our presence. We can't completely shut down. We can't completely, disconnect, because there are still people that need us. Take your time and definitely, be in that moment the way that you need to, but reflect on your other relationships. How can I strengthen them? How can I be more present? How can I be in a space where when this happens again, I don't have to have that guilty feeling. Maybe it'll just be pain and hurt because I'm sad, but not that I feel like I didn't do enough. So reflection is good, because reflection can be both negative and positive, but more so positive, because in those moments, you're thinking about, the good memories, what happened, and how you can be better about making memories moving forward, right? Let's keep it moving. So boom. In those initial 5 stages of grief, the last piece is acceptance. And I feel like it's some stuff that happens in between there before you come to acceptance. Now, there are some people who can have that acceptance out the gate. It is what it is, right? And so all the other pieces of the stages of grief happen after that. But I truly feel that There's a lot of different things that need to take place before true acceptance happens when you lose somebody. For me, have I accepted that my uncle passed away? Yes, because that's the truth of the matter. I understand that from a logical standpoint. I've accepted that from a matter of fact. It is what it is. We buried him last year. But truly just being in a space of moving forward from the feelings, that hasn't happened. So when we look at acceptance, I feel like it's more to that. That's a heavy one. That's a more involved stage. So I put in my own little spots that I feel happen before that actually takes place. Reconstruction. Depending on the relationship between you and that person, you have to rebuild. We see this a lot when there is close relationships that are lost due to death. Whether that is losing a child or losing a spouse or partner, losing a parent, grandparent, aunt, uncle, sibling. That person is a major part of your life. And something that I always look at is, for me, you love somebody for your whole life. And now you got to figure out how to live the rest of it without them being a part of it. That is loaded. So you have to reconstruct what that looks like without this major part. Really think about that though, and the relationship that you have with certain people. For example, a parent, you lose a parent, you literally have loved this person your whole life. And now you have to move forward. What does a parent do? A parent is someone who guides. A parent is someone who loves unconditionally. A parent is, they become your best friend as you get older. And when they're no longer there, life is still going on. You still got questions. You still have experiences. You have children of your own that may or may not have a relationship with them. And if they do, that's even worse, because now I have to explain to my kid about grandma, grandpa no longer being here. Or you lose your child, the person that you're supposed to be protecting and have all of these experiences with through their life, and it's cut short. Now you have to reconstruct who you are as a father, who you are as a mother, because maybe there's more kids, or maybe that was the only one, and now you're thinking, do I even want to have more kids? Like, what does this look like? So I feel like that reconstruction part is so important. A lot of people skip over that because in our minds, grieving just looks like, I cry right now, but I got to be strong. And I got to keep moving, because why? Life goes on. Still got to work, still got to take care of ourselves, still got other family members, still got other obligations. So that reconstruction period for a lot of people does not happen. And I think that that's so important. So anybody out there that's grieving or mourning the loss of someone, start to think about that if you haven't already. The reconstruction period. How do I move forward? What does that look like without this person here anymore? And even if you've been doing it for a couple of years, but you never really sat to process, this person is not here. What does that mean for me? How do I truly feel about this? Do that thing. Think about it. Talk about it with yourself and figure that out. The next piece is that upward turn, right? Where it's not so bad. It's not so sad. It's not such a heavy space to be in. I tell people this all the time. I don't think that pain ever goes away, ever, when you lose somebody. But it's not as spicy as it was in the beginning. At a certain point, and that may take 20 years, but at a certain point, it's not as spicy as it was when it first happened. here in this year at first, this thing is still fresh for me. I know people that are in year 6, year 7, having lost a parent or a grandparent, sibling, aunt, uncle, and it's still fresh for them. That looks different for everybody. And so just taking the time to kind of get to that space where it's not so spicy, it's not so fresh, it takes work. It is work that is necessary, because here's something that I learned, and it's a hard truth that I had to learn, is this is a part of life. I have always been very awkward about death because I didn't understand. For me, that whole idea that here today, going tomorrow, like I can literally just not wake up one day and then that'll just be it. I'm just like, that, it still blows my mind. But it's not so scary because I live. When I go, the people that know me will be able to say, oh, that girl lived her life. She was outside. She was lit. She was happy. She did life on her own terms. And I think that upward turn, that turnaround when loss is not so spicy, is when we can start to think about that reconstruction. That is a gift that loss gives us a lot of times, if you can tap into it. Just that reminder that you have to live while you can live, while you're here, because you just never know. The uncertainty of when, where, and how forces me to love hard. I take risks. I go for it, and I think about it later. I go for it, and I think about it later. And I want to encourage everybody to adopt that mindset. Look at your circumstance. Look at the people in your lives. Look at the people that you've lost. And really just start to reconstruct how you live your life. Because we only get one. That's my understanding. I know everybody got their own beliefs and their own. Even if I did kind of believe that maybe there's a such thing as coming back, you're not going to remember this moment. You're not going to remember this day. You're not going to remember these people, these experiences. So in this moment, live. Enjoy it. Do what you need to do to get through. And I think that that's so very important. It's always harder when it's unexpected. I don't know if I accept it because I still be wishing she was here. So I guess I'm still not at that level. And that's okay. That is okay. And we're going to get into, because that was my wrap up about the stages, because I definitely want to talk about being able to be in a space of grief and being okay with it. Big shout out to all my friends and family that have been so supportive of me in this moment. Again, yesterday when I had my meltdown, my phone was tripping. I called like 8 people and none of the calls were going through. And I didn't realize it until this morning. But I was able to touch base with one of my friends. And I was on FaceTime with her and I just cried. I just cried and I just cried and I just cried and I just cried. And I couldn't really in the beginning explain to her why I was crying or what I was feeling. And she just kept saying to me over and over again, it's okay not to be okay. Like, I know you're not fine right now. Clearly, look at you. But that's okay, because I find myself doing this. When I'm crying, I try to make myself stop. That's not healthy. When you are feeling your feelings and they're happening, trying to stop them or stunt them, it's not good. Can't do that. It's okay to feel. We have to, that is a part of the human experience. So when you're in those moments where you're grieving, and sometimes it comes out of nowhere, you have to sit in it. I'm going to encourage everybody to sit in it. Just like I had to sit there on the camera, looking at her, looking crazy, tears, snotting, all of that. Can't talk. I had to sit in it. I had to be in that moment because I hadn't had it. And when I went to sleep, I felt so good. That release is a big part of grief and mourning, because as I said to you guys earlier, that outward expression is what mourning is. Some people go 2-3 years and don't mourn, and then all of a sudden hit them like a ton of bricks. I think that's more detrimental than mourning in spots, where it comes, you let it come, and then you're good, and then maybe later something happens and it comes. But here's one thing I do want to say. Grief and mourning looks different for everybody and for every situation. As I just said, the way that I grieved my granny passing is not the same that I'm grieving my uncle. The way that I grieved my puppy passing, losing little Leia, is not the same way that I grieve losing a really dope relationship that I had, or connection I felt was, a friendship that I thought was going to be forever, and then it just is nothing. Because that you have to mourn and grieve that as well. So let's get into a little bit of being able to be in that space as the griever and the mourning person, and then being there for people that are in that situation. As I said before, I used to be very awkward about this. And when people would call me and tell me that someone had passed away, or they were, because I'm a very empathetic person, I'm able to, oh man, that's, I'm sorry, my condolences, my prayers to you, and all the kind words. But I don't really got too much more to say after that. I don't really want to be in that space with you because it's icky. I don't like it. Now I embrace that. Now I know what it means to just have somebody there. I have a friend that when this initially happened, I reached out to them. Hey, can I come over? I just want to kick it. I just want to chill. This and this happened. They offered their condolences to me. Yeah, come through. I went to see them. They got me something to eat. We sat down. We watched TV. We laughed. We talked. They didn't ask me how you feeling. They didn't ask me about the situation. They didn't ask me to go into details about what was what. I think I did talk about it a little bit. They allowed it to, but they didn't pry. They were just there. Went to sleep. And that night, after everything that had been going on, because like I said, Uncle was in and out the hospital prior to him passing away. And there was already all of these feelings of, is it about to happen? Is this it? My auntie had come in town and she left, and my uncles, people were coming to see him. And so it was just like, it was like in the air. So after being able to spend that time with my friend, I woke up that next morning and I just felt like this. I was able to exhale. Like, wow, that happened. It's been a lot of stress. And for a couple hours, I was able to step outside of that and just exist. And sometimes that's what people need. So let's talk about some do's and don'ts. When someone loses someone or they're grieving, don't ask them, are they okay? Because most times they're not. What you can then instead say is, I know you're probably not okay right now, but I'm here. Sometimes people just need you to be there. I'm one of those people. Again, because I'm very big on relationships and connections. So just being present. I'm here. Come over and sit. Let's laugh. Let's talk. You know, if they want to talk about what's going on, sure. And for those of you that are grieving or mourning, it's okay to tell people, I don't want you here. I don't want to talk about it. I need to be by myself. And being okay with that and getting there, giving them that space, giving them that respect. You know? Another do and don't. Don't to ask them, is there anything that I can do for you? Let me know. He ain't asked if I was okay or nothing. Don't ask if there's anything I can do for you. Because 9 times out of 10, they don't even know what they can do for themselves. So no, they don't know what you can do for them. Just offer it. I remember a while ago, a good girlfriend of mine, her mom passed away. Hey, you home? I'm pulling up. Is it okay if I come over? You know, again, give them that respect and give them that space if they need to be alone. Yeah, I can use some company. I come, I'm about to cook her some food, make sure she looks good, straighten up a little bit because it looked crazy in there. And then we sat down and we just sat. Be present. Don't be asking all them questions. Because in the moment, they can't really, you know, or maybe they can or they don't want to. It's uncomfortable. So just be present. Another do and don't. Don't make it about you. I cringe when I hear people or see people, like when somebody's talking about a passing on like Facebook or Instagram or something, or even just in conversation. Again, I do some grief counseling with work and stuff, and you know, we do our groups and people are talking, and people will feel like, oh, I can relate. I remember when this and this and this happened. And now you've taken away the focus. Because while this person is trying to process what this feels like for them, you just made it about you. I remember when my uncle died. I don't care about when your uncle died. In this moment, I don't care about when your uncle died. I understand exactly how you feel. No, you don't. You're not me. You may have experienced loss, but your situation is not the same as someone else's, even if it's the same type of loss. Because again, like I said, everybody's different. Everybody handles their grief differently. Everybody's grieving process looks different. So we both lost our uncle, but the way that you handled it is not the way that I handled it. And I don't want to hear that right now. So big shout out again to my friends and my family that understand. And like I said, loss is like everywhere right now. There's not nobody that I know that has not lost somebody before. So I feel like you guys kind of get it. We're at that age where, you know, that maturity is there and you're able to decompress without overloading. So I appreciate everybody that's kind of been, you know, going through these steps with me through this year at first. It's been up and down. But I know going into this next year, I'm going to have to do some things differently. Because the way I felt yesterday, when reality hit, and this thing is real, he's gone, hit different. Hit very different. So this next year, going to look different. And I encourage all of you guys who've lost somebody recently or even in the past, just really figure out what this grieving thing looks like for you. And don't let anybody tell you that there's a time limit. Because like I said, maybe with time it gets a little dull. Maybe it's not as spicy as it was in the beginning, but it never truly goes away. As I stated before, my granny passed when I was, 8? And although the memories are a little different, I still get sad sometimes when I think about her. Because as an adult, the things that she used to say to me and tell me when as a kid didn't make sense. I used to laugh, we used to pick at her, like, oh, she said, no, that don't make no sense. Ah. Now, as an adult, I'm like, damn, that's what my grandma was talking about. That's what she meant by that. Oh, wow, I remember when da-da-da-da-da. And it's like, man, she's not here either. So there's that piece. So I want to share something with you guys. I'm gonna do that for the last little bit before we get out of here. It is something that I do with my clients. It is something that I did for myself, and it really, really helps. And on yesterday, when I had my moment, I was able to refer to it, and it helped me to calm down in a moment so that I could get somebody on the phone. And then, we went from there. You guys see that? So this is what I like to call grief soup. Here's my cup of grief soup. So what's in here? What is grief soup? Grief soup is what helps you to get through and to mourn. So in here we have some marbles, right? And you can put anything in your grief soup, just as long as you're hitting the points of what they mean. So in here I have some marbles. The marbles represent the times that I feel alone. Like nobody else understands what I'm going through. Like I'm in this by myself. I just got to deal. And there's not very many of them there because, as I said, I have a very strong village. I have some amazing friendships and acquaintances in my life. So I never feel alone completely. But of course, there are times when I do kind of deal with a sense of loneliness. So there's some marbles in there for that. Then there are like these little beads, like these that go in your hair. And the beads represent the good, positive memories. The moments when I sit back and I laugh and I smile. And there's a lot of beads in there. Because that happens often. I have lots of good memories about my Uncle Ricky. Anytime that I sit and think about the crazy jokes that he would tell, and I'm just like hearing his voice in my head and I can laugh. Or I'll come to the house and I'll be looking at the fridge and I always remember, he was greedy, liked to eat. We had that in common. And I'll be in the kitchen and he'd be like, hey, what you got on that plate there, girl? And I'll laugh, something. And he'd be like, oh, all right. Now he about to go grab his plate and we about to get it in. And things like that. Or when he was younger and I was younger, anybody know me, I'm very touchy-feely. I like to hug, I like to touch, I like to talk. I'm in your face. I have a really bad personal space boundaries. I understand it. And so as he got older, I would act like I'm gonna go sit on his lap. And he called me Juicy. And he'd be like, hell no, Juicy, I done got frail. You can't be sitting on me no more. And it would make me die laughing because he was serious about that thing. Like, don't you sit on me. But I could just remember a time where I would, when I was younger, and he'll tickle me, we'll laugh, and he'll hold me, fold me up. And it's just like moments like that I could think back. He's so funny. And even the moments where he aggravate me, those go with the happy moments because he was very aggravating. my Uncle Daryl aggravated too. I think the only uncles that don't aggravate me is my Uncle Greg and my Uncle Simon. But those moments are there too, because when thinking about, even when I'm like, oh my God, this man, it's just like, I would love to be aggravated right now. I would love for him to call me Juicy, even though I hate it when he called me that. I would love to hear that right now. I would love to hear him walk up behind me and start messing with me like, bruh, I'm grown, stop doing that. I would love that right now, you know? So those are happy moments. And then there's glitter in here. The glitter represents my grief. The moments when I am overly emotional. The moments when I'm mad, or I'm sad, or I'm feeling guilty, or there's that pain, and I'm sitting in those moments and I may need to cry. There's not a whole lot of glitter, because like I said, I didn't do this year right. And that's not normal. But there is some, because there were some times when I would do that. What else we got in here? Oh, there's seashells. And those seashells represent the different stages of grief that I feel like I have conquered. There's only 3. There's only 3 in here right now. Because I'm not okay about this. And I think last night was the first time that I admitted that and said that out loud. That I'm not okay about that. And that's okay. It's okay to have those feelings. It's okay to be in that space. And so the water then represents me, because life still goes on, right? So I fill my water just above the things that are in this jar or cup. Just enough that it floats. And this is my grief soup. And I can always take the top off and add more of memories, or more of sadness, or more of stages that I feel like I've gotten through, until we can close it. And my grief soup is full. And when it's not so spicy, I can look at it and it's like, you did that. Because grief and mourning is part of life. It's a human experience, and we all go through it. So I want to encourage you guys to just get to a space where, if there's anybody in your life that is no longer here, it's okay not to be okay. It's okay to cry. It's okay to need your friends. It's okay to need your family. It's okay to feel. It's necessary. Check on your strong friends, especially if they're grieving or there's been a loss. Make sure that they feel safe to do so, because a lot of them don't. Or they feel like they're doing it okay because they're okay. You know, like they're making it, they're going to work, they're not sad, and they just, you know, oh, they wouldn't want me to be sad, or, oh, you know, that whole day in a better place now, at least you know they're not hurting. Stop telling people that too. Tell them that it's okay not to be okay. Tell them that it's okay to think about the person that they miss and be sad. Tell them that they are human. And be present. Sometimes people just need you to be there. That's all they need. Grief soup. It's great. And when I do get in my little moments, I'll just play with it and I'll kind of look. And I'll think about memories, and I'll check on my family members. And there's that. So if you want more information about grief soup, or you want to actually make some grief soup, hit me up. I will love to tell you how to make your own grief soup, so you can deal with that thing. It's so therapeutic to just be putting the stuff in there. And again, you can put whatever you want in there, just as long as those representations are there for your special person or special persons. I'm sure before it's all said and done, I'll have lots of cups of grief soup, and I'm coming to terms with that because it's a part of life. It is something that we just have to do. But in the meantime, because I know that I'm living, I'm here, I'm present, I'm in the moment, and doing what I need to do. And I hope that y'all are too. So if you've lost somebody and you want to just kind of think about them in this moment, drop the name of your special person or special persons in the comment section. And you don't have to. Of course, you don't have to do anything, right? But, if you're feeling like it and you want to, share that and be in this moment, go ahead. And think about them. And think about all the things that I've talked to you about today, just in regards to your grieving process. And if there's anybody that is currently in their year first, I just want to encourage you in this moment that you'll get through it. Just keep waking up. Life will go on, life will continue, and you will get through it. I'm not going to say it's going to be easy. I'm not even going to say it's going to be hard, because I don't know. I don't know what your grieving process is going to look like, but I know that you can get through it. I'm not going to say it's going to be okay, because that may not be the case right now. It may be okay in this moment, and tomorrow after watching this show, you might wake up and be like, I'm not okay. And that's okay. That's okay. But feel. Allow yourself to be in that moment. Allow yourself to grieve. Allow yourself to mourn, and allow the people around you to have that. Shout out to everybody in the comments that's watching. I appreciate y'all for all the love and support that you guys give me. Dreamer is for sale. BarnesandNobles.com. Look it up. Purchase my book. Let me know how you like it. It's pretty dope. I don't know if I'm going to do a show next week, but I might. Y'all know me. I pick and choose. I'm going to try to. I'm definitely going to try to make some things happen, because I'm trying to get consistent with this thing, right? But I definitely did not want today to go by and I not do a show to commemorate my Uncle Ricky. Year first. Right now, I'm okay. And I'm okay with the fact that tomorrow I might not be. I'm okay with the fact that next year I'm really going to have to do some work. I'm really going to have to get to a place where I allow myself to have those moments and really process what this looks like for me. And I'm going to go ahead and get up out of here, because that's my time. So yeah, possibly right back here next week for another conversation on That's All About It, the podcast. Hit me up. Y'all know my social medias at this point. If you have not already, go ahead and hit that subscribe button so you can stay up to date with As Told by Nate. You'll get them notifications when I'm here and when I'm not. Write me. I love to hear from you guys. I am starting to take letters again. So if there's any topics in particular that you want me to address on the podcast, hit me up. Let me know. Give me your thoughts. Tell a friend, and let's talk about it. I love you guys. Be blessed.